Yeah.
So we're starting.
Okay, so here we are. Here we are, Shri Mataji.
Jai
We
Shri
are with our
Mataji.
brother Alex Henshaw from Hong Kong. And he's not just from Hong Kong, he's from the entire Southeast Asia, including Australia. For so many years, we've had the privilege of my brother Alex to be a great yogi since late 70s, if I'm not wrong. Am
Early
I right?
80s. Early 80s.
Early
Yeah,
80s, yes.
yeah,
And that's when
yeah.
we met also. And welcome to this special interview with you. We basically want to know about your miraculous journey in Sahaj with transformation that has happened in your life.
Yeah,
And
just 1 second. Hold on. I just have
yes,
to.
yes, please, please, please. So here we are. Alex is just getting ready for
Yeah, sorry. Just
this interview.
yeah. So
This
it's
is
been.
a very special interview. Yes, please carry on.
I was going to say, did you want to, what sort of format did you want to have? Just a quick Q&A or just a general
It's
reflection
it's
on.
it's like a very informal conversation between
Right.
two yogis who known each other and loved each other for a long time through
Yeah.
our Divine Mother's connection. And we love to share a few things which we haven't yet spoken about. We've had a couple of talks earlier together, but today we are going to talk of some very burning issues about today's Sahaja Yoga and what is foreseen and really, what is your view about how a Sahaja Yogi has to proceed in these very trying times. So we'll cover this part and of course, and part of your life and some miracles and some special experiences which led to a tremendous transformation in your life. So, Alex, please, your the stage is yours.
Thank you, Sanjay. Well, I mean, probably starting from the beginning, I got my realization in 1983 in April. So Shri Mataji had traveled to Australia for a series of public programs, and I grew up in Sydney, so I'm originally from Sydney, Australia. I spent, I was in my final year of a 4-year degree course in industrial design, so I was in the midst of studies and finishing off completing my degree. And I was finding it challenging when I was studying. I had a very busy schedule. I was also doing music studies as well as an additional thing to industrial design that I was studying. So I was very, very stressed and under a lot of pressure, doing too much and trying to fit it all in, and then commuting back and forth to uni. So it was very, very difficult for me at that stage. I remember I was falling behind, and then my mother suggested that I do meditation. So that was the first idea that she said, well, this will help you with the stress. I knew a little bit about meditation, about yoga. My parents were seekers, so that they were very, very diehard seekers, I would say, from the early 60s, 70s, 80s. So they were very, very much seeking. My father was intellectual. He was a scholar, an artist, and he was a founder of the Jung Society in Australia. So they were very learned people and very deep seekers, trying to find the truth. And it was actually through my mother that actually brought us all into Sahaj, because she was listening to a radio program with Shri Mataji being interviewed, and Shri Mataji made a lot of sense to her. She said she just spoke, very, very simple but sort of deep truths. And what really impressed my mother was towards the end of the interview, Shri Mataji said, "This is the power of God's love. It's a transformative power. And all you have to do is have the desire to connect to that power, and you can get it." And she said, if people at home just put their hands out to the radio, just ask for it. Just say, "Mother, please can I have my self-realization?" And so my mother put her hands out, And even before she even asked the question, she felt a tremendous cool breeze on her hands. So this was something that really stuck with her. And she rang up my father. She rang us all up. I mean, I wasn't there, but she rang us individually and said, look, there's a very special lady, a guru, who's come to Australia, and she's in town, and I feel that we should all try to make an effort to see her, because I feel that she's going to, she's offering self-realization. So it's important. So she was quite excited about it, and my father also, he was very open and interested to see, and they both when I was preoccupied with my assignments and studies, and I didn't have the time in that particular moment to get along to the program, but they both went along to the program, I think, with my younger brother and younger sister. And it was my father that called me back the next day and said, this isn't a genuine experience. This is the real thing. She's giving self-realization. This is what Carl Jung was talking about. So he immediately recognized that this was a major breakthrough in consciousness. And he rang in and said, you really have to make an effort to go and see her, before she leaves. And unfortunately, I was tied up. And then when I was free, she'd already left. So I was so disappointed that I didn't get to see her. But then they said, oh, you can go along to the ashram, and then you could have the experience, at least, of self-realization. So I went to, it was a couple of weeks later, and then I went to the ashram with all the family was there, and then I got my realization, and I had a very, very strong experience. And my younger brother had been going, younger brother Rob had been going along to the programs, and he'd really gotten into it, and he was moving into the ashram, and I thought, wow, he's very serious, So, so in any case, I went along and I had this amazing experience where literally I was on the seventh heaven. I was completely blissed out, floating, and I was just totally away from my body. I didn't know where I was. I was just in this blissful state. I felt that I knew all the things, all the questions in the universe were there at my fingertips. I knew everything. I had this deep sense of knowing everything, an all-pervading feeling. So it was a very, very profound experience for me. And it took, I don't know how long I was in that experience, then that state for, but it seemed to last for a long time. And then I heard this voice calling my name, like a very far away, somewhere in the distance. And then it slowly got louder. And then eventually I came conscious of my body again. And then, I was sort of back to the realm of the physical world. And I was just speechless. I was literally in this smile, this grin from ear to ear, feeling totally blissed out. I couldn't speak. I was just in this state of joy. And that lasted for about 2 weeks. I was just floating, until I went back to university. And then I walked in the gate of the university, and it was like a bolt of lightning hit my agya, and I got this excruciatingly strong headache. And I felt the pain in the swadhisthans and all these things. I didn't know what I was sort of feeling at that stage. I had no idea of chakras and anything like that. So it was a real shock to the system. And then I immediately went back and I did the clearing and worked on my chakras, tried to sort of get back to that state I felt, from the first time I had realization. But it took me a while. I mean, I just realized there was a lot of catches and problems on the chakra level, so I couldn't get enough of the instructions. I went to the center a few times a week, programs. I was trying to just absorb it, and then they said, "Oh, we have tape talks of Shri Mataji, the video talks," and I just wanted to absorb as much as I could, to learn as much as I could. So by the second, I remember the second week I went, I had this incredible, I guess, insight that Shri Mataji was the feminine power of God, that she was Mother Mary, that, this was a strong feeling that I had. I come from a Christian background, and I just have this very strong feeling that, the other thing I felt was that I've been with her and I've served her in previous lives. That's the feeling I had. I'd been with her before, and there was a familiar, sense of awareness that I'd served her. So this feeling of serving her was something that was very strong inside me. And then we went through this process of clearing and cleansing, and I eventually moved into the ashram because I wanted to get as much time doing meditation and spending time on my spiritual ascent. I was busy doing my degree, and the other thing was is that my focus had gone from finishing off my degree to my spiritual ascent. And then all of a sudden I realized I'm way behind everything. I had my thesis was due, all these things had sort of come to a head where I'd been in this blissful state enjoying myself, and then the reality of, okay, oh dear, I've got to do some work, I've got to get this degree finished. So it was a real, shocking kind of realization that, hey, if I don't, get stuck into it, I'm not gonna get through it. And coincidentally, at the time, the leader was going across to a tour that Shri Mataji was doing in North America, and he said, "Look, if anyone wants to write a letter to Mother, I can take it over to her." And so quite a few people in the ashram wrote letters, and I thought I'd better write a letter to Mother. And so all I wrote was in the letter was, "Shri Mataji, I am so happy that I found you in this life." He said, I felt that I've been seeking and looking for you in many lifetimes, and you've given me my self-realization to you. And so that's the greatest gift I could have had in this life. I'm so happy. I'm so thankful. And then as a little line underneath, I said, and I'm finishing my degree, and I just ask for your blessings, for you to get through to my studies. And anyways, he went to US, and he came back and he said, "Oh, Shumataji read the letter. She was very happy. She was very pleased, and she said, 'Don't worry about anything.' She said, 'I'm with you.' So that was reassuring. And then all the other things just fell into place. My thesis, I had so much sort of technical stuff in my mind and piles of research that I'd done, and I didn't know where to start. So I just said, "Mother, you do everything." So I just meditated and sat before the altar. And literally, after that meditation, I had a plan of every subject in the thesis that I needed to cover. At every heading, and I just wrote a sort of skeleton of things that I needed to cover in the thesis. And then I had all the research, and I just laid it out in piles of information, and I put it into like a horizontal layers of sections of the thesis. So I literally had piles of different topics that I was going to cover in the thesis, and it was all laid out, ready to go. And then I just read through everything, and I started writing. And within a couple of weeks, I'd finished everything. So it was 500 pages of writing, all the things that I'd conclusions and everything I'd come to. And then that was really an achievement for me because I was so far behind and I didn't think I'd be able to make it. So the very last minute I got the thesis submitted. I was so relieved. I thought, my God, I've got this out. Thank you, Mother, for the inspiration and then the help, because it's a miracle. Like I don't think I could have achieved it without Mother's attention and help for that. And anyway, I went away for the break, and I came back, and my professor came up to me and I really enjoyed reading your thesis. He said it's one of the best theses I've seen in the last 20 years. He said it was so well put together, and your conclusions were very good. And so he was full of praise, and I got a high distinction. I topped the year in the thesis part. And then from there, I thought, wow, this is a miracle. So I could see how the divine attention which was on you would just work out these, things which seemed to you quite difficult and challenging were just effortless, just worked out so nicely. So this was just my first, 6 months in Sahaj. This is my sort of first experience. And then so many things worked out. We had a very busy life in the ashram. All of us were very committed. I was doing videos, copying. So I was looking after the reproduction of all the videos that Mother's videos. So they were distributed to all the ashrams in Australia, and then individuals were also purchasing the videos. So we were very, very busy copying and doing that. So that was my main focus. And everybody in the ashram, of course, you're doing the household chores, you're helping to prepare food, you're cleaning, you're doing the washing up, all these sort of domestic things. We had a roster, we had a very well organized sort of system. And it was like being in the army because we get a conch was blown at about 5 in the morning to get us up, and we all got up for meditation. We were, collective shoe beat at 5:15 in the meditation room at 5:30 to 6:30, 1 hour meditation, sing the arti. It was a very disciplined ashram life, and I would say that it set me up for the future because I think if you have that discipline of meditation, you work on yourself. In the evening you come back from university or what you were doing, and you'd check your vibrations. You'd have a foot soak. You'd clear. You'd focus back on yourself. You'd exchange vibrations. Every week we do head rubs, a lot of sort of collective working. We put attention on various things which were happening in the collective or helping people, giving realization. So all these things were sort of part and parcel of living in the ashram. We were running 3 or 4 programs a week, supporting those programs in different parts. And then other ashrams were opening up, so we were helping to sort of renovate, paint, move furniture into ashrams to start a new ashram. So at one stage we had 15 ashrams around Sydney, which was quite a lot. And the leader at the time was a gentleman called James Blackley. He was a very enthusiastic, simple guy, but he was a salesman. He was a sales manager. He was so he ran Sahaj like a sales organization with targets to give realization, targets to open up new ashrams. So he was kind of like, Australia will show the world, look what we're doing. It was kind of a childish ego of impressing the rest of the world. So Shri Mataji used to praise the Australians, look what the Australians have done. And then we had the big numbers going to India tour. We had, hundreds of, yogis going to India tour. So it was a big thing. We were all, sort of in this bus moving fast, and it was really a dynamic and a lot of momentum, a lot of joy, a lot of we had, of course, in an ashram there's always dramas. We had a lot of different characters, crazy people coming and going, and
So,
the I guess the variations of seekers that you get. You can imagine you've got people that have come from drug addiction, alcoholism, normal people, normal family people as well. But then you've got sort of people which were battling their sort of demons, of whatever afflictions they were, and trying to work it out, trying to sort of get to spiritual balance and equilibrium. So it was quite a journey for us all, and we had to, dealing with different people in the ashram. We were in a boys' dorm with I think at one stage 14 other boys or 14 other men in the boys' dorm. So we had a big room, bunk beds, and it's a challenge for anybody to sort of work out this sort of stuff because you've got characters which are really sort of agitated. Some of them are quite disturbed sometimes. So we had some very funny situations from time to time. So that
yeah,
was the first
yeah,
experience of Sahaj.
early
So
part.
quite a
Yes.
lot.
And Alex, I just intervene for a second, just to recap your very profound journey. First thing, I think I noticed that you were very much attracted to the simplicity and the love and the connection that you probably felt from your past life to mother, and then it was such a profound experience for you that you just sort of went along with the process of what she was teaching so that you could get more and gain more access into this beautiful experience. And then it was like whatever you experienced, you felt that it was so smoothly working out effortlessly. They're like a miracle in your life. And then you were joining that flow in which what she was trying to tell other people, to awaken them within themselves and to become better human beings through practicing this meditation. And then you were led to understand everything about the process of how you meditate and the chakras and the cleaning. And then you also joined all the others and had a life in an ashram. And then you learned through this collective way of how to live together, how to bond, and how to love. Really, I must say this is something quite new to the people who will be watching this interview. That this kind of an activity happened when Shri Mataji was there physically in front of us.
Mm.
And
Well,
I had a
this was the,
similar feeling the
the
way you had. Yeah,
sorry, I was
yeah,
just saying
please,
that
please.
this was the model that Shri Mataji had given us for us to grow spiritually. So she said everybody should live collectively, because in a collective situation you confront your ego, because you've got so many situations where you have to sort of introspect yourself, stop yourself reacting, seeing things before your eyes. And then you've got to be in a balance. You've got to work on yourself. So it's about if you're doing it together, it's such a momentum, such a power to do as a collective. And then you're supporting each other. That's the other beautiful thing about it, is you form these deep bonds and friendships that are there for life, and you're working with each other to help each other. And it's nothing more special about wonderful about having sharing a head run with a brother, where you feel so much enjoyment, and your head feels so much better. You feel a lot of flow of vibrations. You exchange that. It's a deep sense of love and friendship that you develop over time, and then you're there for each other. You can talk to each other if you have problems. And so that was a very special time. And I think why it was so important, because these were the foundations of Sahaj. These were the foundations to the beginning of Sahaja Yoga in Australia, and trying to build something, a foundation where you need to have people which understand, who can really look at all the different permutations and combinations, and give answers to people's questions, and be able to deal with various situations. So it was a very good training to help me to sort of guide me and bring about my own transformation through this process. And I hadn't at that stage even met Shri. I just all I had well I was just looking at the talks. We would just absorb whatever we could from the talks. Every time a new tape would come, we were so excited. And because I was doing the copying of the tapes, I'd watch it talk over and over again. So it was a very nice job to do, because
Oh,
in those days we just everything was done with manually on a tape. So you have to play the whole tape through to make, and then you have a bank of recorders, and then you're copying it, but you still have to play the tape through again and again. So this was the mechanism where I was able to listen to so many talks, the latest talks, whatever came out, and then subsequent videos. And I think that's where I really started to learn and understand and absorb Sri Mataji's message, because listening to these talks was just so enlightening. It was so amazing to understand. And then the profound, especially some of those early talks that she gave in England, in when she was in England working with the English, and so much depth of the early talks. And I used to enjoy so much listening to those this late 70s, the early talks in the early 80s, because if you go back and have a listen to them, they are so profound. There's so much knowledge that Shamaji gives in those talks. So this was the core foundation of my learning and development in Sahaj. So my main focus, even though I was still in my final year of studies, my studies had shifted to this spiritual studies and Sahaja Yoga. That was my main sort of interest and focus, because it's like you find the truth the other stuff doesn't matter, but this was very important. And then, by the way, mother arranged for things to work out with the other studies. So by the time I reached towards the end of it, I had to complete a design project from the thesis that I'd written. That was in a project I needed to complete. And then the same thing happened. I just was at a point where nothing was flowing, and I just said, Mother, I surrender everything at your lotus feet. Had a meditation, and the inspiration came. So it was when you surrender, when you let go, that things work out. And I realized that, you can't, in your mind you can't solve anything, but when you let go, inspiration comes. So these sorts of things were very apparent to me after these experiences. So I completed the design, and then all the miracles started happening. I presented the design to a panel of experts, and it's like a critique. They drill into everything you've done about the design, the concept, how you've come to this conclusion, this, and this. So I had medical doctors. It was a standing frame for handicapped children. So it was a lot of technical information, have to talk about the development of the child, what things they, challenges that they have if they're handicapped, if they had cerebral palsy, what sort of what limitations do they have? How does this product help them? So anyway, I went through the whole critique, and somehow I had answers for every single question that they were firing at me. And it's like everybody fires these questions, and you have to answer everything in a complete way. And somehow I didn't know how it was happening, but the answers just flowed. My Saraswara was open. I just went into a meditative state. And then through that state, I don't know how it happened, but answers just came out. I don't know what it was like I was just watching myself with this narration going on. I'd finished the presentation and everything was over. And I thought, wow, it's gone, it's finished. And then my professor came up to me and said, that was amazing. He said, you've done such a wonderful job. He said, I'm so impressed. This is such a good effort. And I went away again, thinking, scratching my head, and then, well, how did this happen? And it was another miracle. So at the end of the day, I won. I mean, I got the top mark in the faculty for the year, and I was a top student. I won an Australian Design Award, like a Australia-wide award. I won this award for the product. I got offered a job literally, the next week after I finished my we had a sort of an exhibition, and then after the exhibition, a guy that had seen the exhibition offered me a job straight away. So straight after graduation, I had a job, literally, a few days after. So it was kind of like boom, 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 and then all of a sudden I'm working,
On the platter.
on a platter. And I thought, and then all the other graduates was that nobody got a job. They were all looking for 6 months. A few months they couldn't get any work. Very few of them got an offer straight away. So I was the only one. Out of all the graduates. So it was like another miracle. I've got this incredible job. And it's funny because I told, I said to the guy, actually, I've been planning to go on this worldwide trip, and he, I was quite innocently told him because I didn't want to sort of get false hope for him that I'm going to be there forever. I just said, look, and he said, look, he said, I understand. He said, you take a year off, do your travels, come back. He said, there's a job always here for you. So I was very fortunate. I did a few months of work for them. They were very happy with what I did. And then I packed up, and then I left the job. And then I packed up and went to India, and I was going on this round the world trip. And then I ended up in India on the India tour. There was 83, 84 tour, and I went on the second phase of that because they had two. They split it into two. So the first time out of Australia, I arrived in Mumbai, and it was really an experience, sort of, coming off the plane, and then in the early 80s, Mumbai Airport was everything was sort of fairly rudimentary. It was under construction. There was all, and then there's sort of sensory things that hit you when you get out of a plane, and then you have this incredible heat, because it's like you're not used to that heat. And then the other thing was the fragrance of Mumbai. I call it the fragrance, which is that sort of special smell, we could say, that you get from the harbor and around the airport. And it kind of like sort of threw me out. And I thought, wow, this is incredible. And then we all arrived, and there was a whole group of us, and we're just standing around, and I was just looking over, and there were these piles of rags sort of in different parts. And then at some point, this is 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they said, "Oh, the buses are coming soon." So we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it's 4 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock. We're just waiting outside the airport. There's mosquitoes, and there's lots of things, people coming and going. And then I looked over, and this pile of rags got up. Were these ladies with brooms. They were sweepers, and they got up and started sweeping. And I thought, wow, this is really incredible. And then eventually, after 5 hours, the buses came. These Maharashtrian transport, department.
ST buses. Yeah.
Yeah, the buses, those famous red buses. And we all piled onto the buses, put our luggage at the roof rack, and then we went through Mumbai, and it was morning time, so everybody was sort of getting up, and people washing on the street, and there was just through the back of the slums and stuff, and I was just in awe, because this is the first time I'd left Australia to a foreign country. I'd been to New Zealand, but I've never been out of Australia. So for a young 23-year-old who'd never experienced, a country like India. So to me, it was just like a movie, like it was like some kind of looking out the window, looking at all the life of people, as you drove by in the bus. So it was a pretty incredible experience for me. And I thought, wow, what an amazing place, so many people just living their life on the street. It was quite a shock to the system in a way. And then that lovely smell of Mumbai coming into the bus, wafting in. And it was, there's no aircon, it's just hot, it's sticky. So it was really an interesting sort of first impression.
Uh, Alex, this is sounding so beautiful. I wish I could keep hearing you for hours and hours on this. But what I find is that uh, you, as a man without realization, not having met mother, you would probably never have been able to tolerate such kind of a condition, because it was somewhere within you, awakened state, that looking
A witness.
forward to getting more of your life,
Yeah, it was definitely
the love of Shri Mataji, her
it
being
was
present
it
in
was
you, looking
it
forward
was
to being.
knowing that we were on the way to meet Shri Mataji. That was
Yes,
the
so it was
thing
that
that really,
longing.
yeah, it was basically, the feeling was that I'm coming back, and in a way it felt like I'm coming home,
Yeah.
like a spiritual home, even though despite all the physical stuff that was going on, I had this innate feeling that I've been. And the other thing was that the I guess the anticipation that I'd be seeing Shrimataji in the flesh. I'd be able to see Shrimataji. And we drove up the coast to Bordi. This is the where this is before Ganapadapule. So the India tour started. And they had the big gathering in Bordi. So what was happening was the first tour that had been around. So my family, most of my mother and father and my brother and sister, they'd gone on the first tour, and we were meeting everybody back in Bordi. This is the second tour. I was on the second tour. They had two tours every year, so two groups, and then we were meeting back in Bordi. So this is where we first met Shrimataji, and it was like, I remember the car coming, and everybody's rushing. to see mother, and there were, and we all crowded around, and then I saw her just look at me, glance at me, and do a namaskar, and then I was just, my heart just leapt. I thought, she saw me, and she got out of the car and she sat and she spoke to everybody and she said, "I'm glad everybody's here. I hope your journey has been good, and you're all. It's so nice to see everybody." So she was just very sweetly welcoming us to India, and she said, "Now your food is ready. Go and have your food and settle in." So just that feeling of welcoming, and I'm in awe because I'm seeing Shri Mataji, the vibrations were just bowled me over. I thought, wow, this is incredible. And her immediate concern was making sure everybody was eating and that we settled in. We have found somewhere to sleep. Like a mother, just
Yeah.
making sure that her children are completely looked after. And it was really so reassuring, and such a beautiful feeling that we're here with our mother. And so that was the beginning of it, and it was very, very special. And it was all the yogis from around the world, and there was yogis from England and Switzerland and Europe and North America, Canada. So it was kind of like a melting pot of so many people, and plus all our Indian brothers and sisters, which were so sweet and hospitable and saying, can we get you anything? It was a very, cosmopolitan and a wonderful sort of melting pot of people. And I thought, this is like the future. This is
Yeah.
what Sahaj is meant to be. We're one big family from diverse backgrounds and cultures, but we're coming together with this one experience, this unifying experience that we've had, our self-realization, and we all have the same mother. We're all here for Shri Mataji, and no matter what background we come from, what level we're at, young or old, we're in the same boat of spirituality. We're in the same, you know, focus for us all, is that we're all together like this.
She would say this was collective consciousness that we were part because it dissolved all the boundaries of
And
all
and that
limitations.
was
We
that
could
was
just,
apparent. We could see it
yes.
before our eyes.
And
And
then when she used to talk about the limited brain, and then she would say that when the sasrara opens, this the whole every atmosphere, the whole everything around you is just one. And you become one with the whole universe, us, and we are all part of that, part parcel of that, and that we are all a part and parcel of Mother herself, and like the cells in her body. I've heard her talk about this. It was so beautiful. It used to touch me a lot.
mm,
Wow, that we are all part and parcel of the whole. We are one family. And you so nicely described it with this experience we used to have in Maharashtra tours, in Bodhi and in Ganpati Pule. I remember.
yeah,
And I must say one thing, Alex, I owe you my everything, all my thanks of my life, because you're the first yogi I met in '84 in London, in Shri Mataji's Brompton house. And I
yeah.
can never forget those days. Uh,
That
yeah,
was
this brings me so close to you and our families when we used to sort of stay together, and we used to joke a lot together. And, I don't know how this sort of thing is it still alive? Because it's been now over 45 years since you and we both got together in this
it's a long time, isn't
this
it? Well, I mean, the things that the interesting
understanding of
thing
Sahaja
was
Yoga. So how do you
was
see the progress as in these 45 years? Have we been able to fulfill her vision? Because she just left us thinking maybe that she had done her job as an incarnation. We do treat her as a goddess, come on earth to put things right for human beings, to realize that we human beings are such a awakened species of creative creative creativity within us, that we could probably bring a lot of things around in this world to change and transform and make it a much better place to live in. So how do you think that has that transformation since her departure taken its course in the right direction, or what do you think was going on in these times? I just wanted to know your views about this.
well, I think it's definitely work in progress. But the foundations are there. I think when you look at the way that Sahaja is working out, and I think the thing is we've got in the beginning we had a lot of interaction with Shri Mataji. We were very blessed to have that time with her, and I think from our perspective, we had that one-on-one interaction. So she was correcting us, she was guiding us, she was very, very much involved in day-to-day thing. But I think now we have to rise to a higher level of consciousness. And I think the challenge that we have is we still, we can struggle with the human sort of elements of, an organization, structures, building a religion. And I think that's always going to be a challenge because you've got, unless you have a really deep, profound experience of what spirituality is, it can be, you can have a tendency, if you're not really going to that deeper level of experience, to create a comfort zone of a structure of practice like a religion, where you've got your puja, you've got this, becomes very rigid, and this is the challenge we have, is that it's a living process. It's not just fixed. So all the incarnations have come and gone, and they've established religions around those teachings of that incarnation. The one difference that we have is that we have the Kundalini awakened. We have a direct connection with divinity. There's no hierarchy. And I think the mistake that can happen is that people that are in positions or given positions of power and prominence can get into the ego state where they think that they're the doers, and they've got to organize and arrange Sahaja Yoga. And I think mothers play games with leaders that have fallen into the traps of ego, and then pretty soon they're no longer in that position because they fall afoul, or they make a mistake, and then it's obvious, and then mother removes them. So I think the challenge now is that we have to use this collective consciousness, powers of vibrations, to be able to find the right people that can help to govern and manage things, and not in an overbearing way, because it's a grassroots movement. Sahaja Yoga is not a hierarchical structure. So I think the mistakes that we have to be careful of is not to fall into those traps of hierarchical structures, a religion that some of these problems that we have in different countries is these trustees or these representatives think that they're there for life. And that and I think that's one of the reasons why Shri Mataji said we need to change every 3 to 5 years, keep people honest, keep a flow of vibrations, so that you have a tenure, you do what you can in that time. But the main thing is that you're maybe on the administrative side, the interface with like an NGO, governments, taxes, all these legal, financial, all that side of things. That's just a part of having an organization. To me, that's just a very small part. And we should never make that the Sahaja Yoga. It's not really that important. Shri Mataji ran things in a very spontaneous way. There was just a flow of vibrations. If something didn't work, she'd change. And I think that's something that needs to happen, where we're not fixated on any particular way. Mother set this up, we have to do it like this, we have to do it like that, because it's evolving. And unless and until we're part and parcel of that divine power working through, things will evolve, things will change. Nothing's that. Shri Mataji showed us over her lifetime that Sahaja Yoga from the very beginning was very different from what it is today. It's an evolving process. And I think the most important thing we can do is empower people to basically be able to become their own masters, to become their own guru. So that's the power of the essence of Sahaja Yoga is that we become that connected, integrated being that becomes a vehicle for the divine to work through in this physical world and bring about the transformation of the greater society. And I think that's only going to happen when there's a critical mass of people that are connected at the same level of realization. And it can be an ongoing development and an ongoing process. But I think that's ultimately what we need to be aiming for, is that clarity of consciousness, that sense of awareness, that sense of vibrations, that we become that instrument of divinity, and not let our ego and our conditionings pull us one way or the other way.
Yeah, it is. I feel you're a very senior yogi and experienced with, have a lot of time with Shri Mataji. I'm sure you're full of so many experiences because I know how much time you spent with her. I did also have this opportunity to be as a musician, as a writer, as a singer, but I've always looked up upon you as an elder brother with a lot of wisdom and knowledge of Sahaja Yoga that you have accrued through your experiences and your profound nearness to her holiness. And I would say your words really have great deep meaning for today's yogis and yuvas to understand the depth of what they are getting into. It's not just obeying anybody, it's obeying your heart. It's like feeling her in your heart and feeling that connection, and then feeling the responsibility to convey her message to this world, which she had done. So if we were just listening to all her talks, I think would be fully guided. Don't think we need human beings to guide us anyway. We are our own gurus. I felt
That
this I felt this when I was creating my songs, and Shrimati was encouraging it so much. And she said everybody must have them because I felt I was her creation. And then she was using me as an instrument for this spreading through music. And then she suddenly put me in charge of doing some audio visuals like movies, like the two movies we made, and the awards that have flown in. And just show that Shri Mataji is behind it and she's blessing it. And there are so many of us, I'm sure Shri Mataji has given personal attention to and made them her instruments to spread her work and love. And I hope that, I don't know, Alex, I hope that the whole world can realize and recognize that we are all brothers and sisters. We don't need to pull each other down. If somebody's doing good work, it should be permitted and it should be encouraged, and we should all join hands to be part of this. Because so long as her work is done and people are getting into Sahaja Yoga and getting the advantage of the love and vibrations that she wanted everybody to have and feel one in the collective as a family, I think we should encourage this. And being a leader, actually being a partly a world leader and then also a director in the World Foundation, it's such a privilege that I am talking to you at this stage and sharing my thoughts and hearing some great words of wisdom from you. So we would love to continue this conversation endlessly, but yet I would like to leave this last part to you to say a few things and on what I have just spoken, and what are your feelings about the future of Sage Yoga and how we should really take it forward.
I feel that as long as we have that inner connection with Shri Mataji, then she'll guide us and inspire us with whatever way we want to do. But I feel the urgency. I mean, I've always felt that there's an urgency for getting the knowledge or getting this experience to the greater world, the greater community, to all the seekers. And I think sometimes it's, having started Sahaja Yoga in Hong Kong and we spread to China, that is, and knowing how difficult that can be to start something as profound as Sahaj in a different country, and not knowing, culturally, not being so attuned to the culture here, and having to learn that over time. And the only thing you can do is surrender to Mother, because you realize that Actually, she does it all. And the moment your ego starts to get involved, nothing works out. So I think as long as we can keep that level of humility and that knowing that Shri Mataji is the one that's guiding and doing it. And it's pretty simple. You just have to surrender and let her do it and not get too far, not get too mental and preoccupied with it. So I think she will show you what are the things you need to do, and we have to have faith in Shri Mataji, faith in ourselves as well, because if we're the children of Shri Mataji, then we are guided by Shri Mataji. If Shri Mataji is in your heart and you're really genuine and sincere, then that vibrational awareness comes, that depth of experience comes, and then you'll be blessed. And then those important things that we need to do, which is really tell people, give realization, get out there and do Sahaja Yoga, become whatever sphere of work you're doing, you can find avenues for expressing and bringing people to Mother's lotus feet, and you're very fortunate because you've got the music, you've got the media of film, and the films you've done have been tremendous to explain things in a very simple way with a lovely little story to help people understand what Sahaj can be. So for some people, it's just the bhakti. I offer flowers. I do a little puja, and your heart opens. You feel good. You meditate, and for some people, that's enough. For some people, but for me and for many other people, we realize that actually we have a job to do. We're not just here to enjoy ourselves, but we're here to emancipate, to help, to guide others, to bring others to Mother, and to create a critical mass of humanity that can steer the ship in the right direction. Because at the moment we're going in a very, very awkward and I would say a very precarious position. And that seems to be part of Mother's play. And I think if you get attached and worked up with all the world events, you can get caught up with it all. And I think that's sometimes yogis, giving bandhans endlessly for this, endlessly for that. What we have to see is that it's a big play. And Mother once said, "This is bigger than the Mahabharata. This play is much bigger and more complex than the Mahabharata." So it's going to be a very, very tumultuous time coming up. There'll be more dramas, more pandemics, more economic collapses. There'll be, possibly Third World War. We don't know, but this is part of the play that she's created to try to bring humanity to this realization that it's not about this physical world. It's not about religion. It's about becoming your spirit. It's about realizing the humanity within your heart, realizing the spirit, activating that and becoming part and parcel of the whole. And maybe a lot of humanity has to go. The reality, I remember listening to a talk, Mother said around 80% of the people won't be here. So it's sort of prophetic what she's saying in some of those talks. And I think piecing it together, you can see that, we are in a very precarious time. And I think she always said that she postponed the doomsday. And when she gave realization in 1970, she said was the doomsday. That was when the end of the world was predicted to happen. It didn't happen because she intervened. So I feel that it's our responsibility as yogis to try to do what she's asked us to do. She said it's up to us. So that responsibility for us to transform humanity is a big responsibility. And I feel that we owe it to our Divine Mother to honor her wishes, to be able to give as much as we can to bringing about the transformation of humanity. And it may well be that there's these tumultuous times and dramas have to happen in order to people to come to this common a common sense. And but I feel it's very important that all of us recognize that we are, channels, we are vehicles, we are capable of bringing about transformation, about giving realization, about helping people, reaching more people. And I think we need to get more of the younger generation involved. We've got all these, very, very good, sort of, tools now, multimedia tools that we can utilize to bring the message out there, to get the message out there. And just simple things like, how Sahaja Yoga has helped you, what it's done in your life, how it's transformed you, as it did for me, as it's done for you, Sanjay, as it's done for everybody that gets involved, and telling that simple story, putting it out onto a YouTube clip or a TikTok video or a Instagram post, So I think we all of us, and particularly the younger generation, can be more active and try to help with this transformation, because so many seekers are there looking, especially the younger generation. I think there are many confused people out there that are just looking for truth, that are trying to find something. And if they can see your transformation, or you can share the things that you've done, that can be a great help to help someone to find the right way, you know.
No, that Shri Mataji did say that you have to show the way through you, through yourself. So
Yeah,
if they
we are
look
the
at
we are
you,
the
then
lights,
yes, yeah, we are the example. We have to become the example ourselves. So
Yeah,
this is all about love and loving each other and always protecting each other and not talking against each other and be like a one unit of family all over the world. I think this one great thing Shri Mataji has given us through Sahaja Yoga is that you feel at home with each other and you can always help each other and rise to a level in which you are, or maybe you can try and reach the level where they are and appreciate what some people have some good qualities. We should not criticize. I feel it's about not fighting, but it's about joining hands. Because if we can join hands, I think we all can collectively share this responsibility and it'll make mother happy because she's there definitely around, and not in physical form, but in her nirakara form. And we can feel her. I mean,
yeah,
you and I can feel the sastra and the vibrations. And right now, Alex, I can feel such beautiful vibrations from you, my brother, and my loving regards to my sister Lily, who has been a great support in your life. And now that you're not only a father, but you're a grandfather and going to be a grandfather shortly, any day now. And we're wishing you all the very best in life. And I would say this interview doesn't end here, but we will continue maybe
well,
again, and we'll
yeah,
discuss some more aspects of your life and more experiences. And how do we try to help each other? We find ways and means to look at that. Because there's one thing that really moved me when I was with mother. I must share with you. I used to feel upset with a lot of things, very much. And my tears would be in my eyes when I would be sometimes sitting at her feet. And she was so sensitive. She would ask me, "Why are you so upset?" And then she said, "Oh, so and so has hurt you. So and so said something about you or against you. Now, why can't you forgive that person?" She said, "Look at me. I'm a mother. So I have to carry all these people. They are my children. I have to forgive them and then I have to take them up. And why can't you be like a mother?" And this was became a mantra in my life because the minute something like that happens, which sort of could upset me, I just say, "Oh, I have to have the compassion of a mother and I have to make sure that I don't do anything which others would do, but what a mother would do to a child."
yeah,
And that has helped me raise a lot of Sage Yogis, their bar of understanding. If they had questions, I could solve them. And I felt it's the mothering quality within us that Shri Mataji wants us to develop. And if we
yeah,
can all do that, I think all this will stop all this backbiting each other and forming groups and agreeing and not agreeing. And we just all agreed to be there because we're all Sahaji brothers and sisters. We need just to love each other. So, did you have any such profound mantra from Shri Mataji? If there is any, please share now if you'd like to. That
I
has
mean,
really moved your heart about.
she had I mean, I think the example that she gave us, the beautiful moments we shared with her, the profound love that we all felt, we have to raise it up to be like that amongst ourselves. She said her first joy is seeing us loving each other. And I feel that that's something we have to keep reminding ourselves, because everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, and we can very easily look at all the bad things, and that's human nature. We tend to look at so and so as the this or that, and we become hypercritical of people. And in Sahaj, it's often the case too. Um, but my experiences with Shri is like you're saying, we're all her children, so we're all equal in the eyes of our mother. And the seekers are the same. She's giving that love and attention, and they're her children as well. They have to come to know her. And I think once we focus on those positive things, with we can see the positive, then all the things will transform, because there's like a frequency of vibration. If your attention is on negative things and critical things, and you're always finding faults, it lowers your frequency, it lowers your vibrational frequency. And then the vibrations go down, and then you'll attract more negative stuff. So if you're always positive, giving love, having love and understanding and compassion for your fellow yogis and fellow human beings, then that will create a vibrational, lift everybody up. And this is what Shri Mataji did. She lifted everybody up through her love. And all of us have experienced that in her presence, because she had that power of love that just transformed us, lifted us. We did a puja and we're just transported to this other dimension. And I think we have to remember that how we feel when we've done a puja, and that state of silence and joyful feeling that we have, that blissful feeling, and try to push for meditations to get back to that feeling. The more we get to that stage, the more love and compassion, the more we'll reflect that divinity within us. So I think that's really the key thing. We have to be that instrument and a reflector of that divine energy and love, and manifest that in our life, become a true yogi. If you look at all the stories of the saints, you'll see the way they held themselves, the way they behaved. And Mother says you're all saints. So we have to live up to that expectation of our mother and become that, not just lip service, but really becoming. So that's our mission in this life, is to reach those higher states of awareness, to manifest that love, to be part and parcel of the divine. And we really become the pure instruments, an instrument of love. And I think that's the key thing. And it's nice to be able to share some of these experiences, and there's a lot more sharing I can do about some of the times with Shri Mataji. And I think these are the precious moments for the next generation, which may not have had the opportunity to meet Mother, and particularly in China, where we have around 2,000 yogis, and none of them have seen Mother. So they're all very very appreciative of stories with Mother, and about the experiences we've all had together with Shri Mataji.
Hey, thank you so much. We will
Thank
come
you.
back with some more experience sharing and talks as we move on. And I wish you good health, and wish you that you come to India very soon.
Yeah, I really want
And
to come back. It's like coming home for me.
yeah, you have our
Thank you,
home, and
Sanjay.
please come and stay with us. And God bless you and Lily and your family. We are with you at this time of happiness and joy, and enjoy the coming of the grandchild in your family.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much
much.
for today's
Thank you,
conversation,
Sanjay. Jai Shri
this
Mataji.
divine conversation, I would say. Jai Shri Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. God bless. Yes.